Welcome back, everybody, to the House on Podcast Hill. I am Zoe, and to my left is my lovely wife,
Gabby.
and we're back with a brand new episode. Sorry for about missing last week. We were doing a free trial with our program, and it went away, and we couldn't even figure out how to open shit.
We had a podcast recorded last week, but when I went to edit it, just a couple minutes later, it said that our trial had expired, and then it just deleted all of the data we had. So, starting fresh, once again, starting now, we will have a new episode every Monday. Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah. Fuck, what was I going to say? Sorry. But yeah, so we are back here with a brand new episode, and we're going to be talking about someone that I'm sure a lot of people has heard of, and we're doing Karla Faye Tucker.
Never heard of her.
Well, you're about to learn about Karla fucking Tucker. All right, so...
Is that her new nickname?
Karla fucking Tucker.
Oh, God.
No, all right, so... She was born and raised in Houston, Texas. She's the youngest of three sisters, and her parents, from what it looked like, had a very troubled marriage. They divorced when she was age 10, and she found out she was the result of an extramarital affair.
Oh.
So, let's just say this girl had kind of a rough growing up, or maybe just kind of a trashy growing up. You'll understand.
Okay.
All right. She started smoking cigarettes when she was about 8.
A baby.
Yeah, and she was a heroin addict. Her first experience with heroin was when she was 10, and a biker doped her up and tried to fuck her. But apparently she got sick, so he left her alone and just left. So that was her first experience with heroin and possibly sex.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, then after that, she just started doing drugs regularly and having sex. When she was 14, she dropped out of high school, and she followed her mother, Carolyn. She was a rock band groupie, and I guess including in the rock band groupie is doing drugs and being a prostitute.
Wonderful role model. Good job, Mom.
What do you expect? This is trashy Texas. That's what we're talking about right now, I guess. Apparently, they traveled with bands like the Allman Brothers, Marshall Tucker Band, and the Eagles.
Oh, hey. I like the Eagles. That's a good band right there.
Yeah. She had a brief marriage when she was 16. She got married to a mechanic, to Stephen Griffith. Couldn't really find much on what the relationship was like. I just read that it was brief.
Well, if she was only 16, that's way too young.
Yeah, I mean... What you'll realize is, I mean, she's been known to have a temper. Like, she just goes off, and she's just a really rough person. I mean, as you can tell, she had a rough kind of growing up, but there's tons of people that grow up like this who didn't turn out to be an axe murderer like she was. So, but yeah, then in her 20s, she started hanging out with bikers. That was became her whole thing. That'll be kind of a theme for the rest of the whole thing is... The biker lifestyle is kind of the type of people we're hanging around with. She met Jerry Lynn Dean and his wife, Sean Dean. She became best friends with Sean, or Shauna.
How's it spelled?
It's Shawn, like Sean, but I don't know.
It could be Sean.
Or it could be Shauna, for all we know. I don't know.
Well, there's no A on the end of it.
Yeah, but still.
I met females named Sean.
All right, but yeah. And I guess she got introduced to her boyfriend, Karla's boyfriend and longtime person for a while, was Danny Garrett. He was 35 and she was 21. So that was kind of an age difference there. But hey, whatever. To each his own.
It's not the worst age difference I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, so that's how she met Jerry Lynn Dean. He was one of the victims in our thing here. I guess I'll just put that out there. After Karla's mother died, she moved in with Danny Garrett, her boyfriend, and her sister, Carrie, Also, Jimmy LeBrant and Ronnie Burrell. Yes. All these names sound like...
Made up.
Doesn't... Yeah, I mean, it's almost just like... white trash lineup.
Oh my God. Seriously?
Come on, you can't tell me that Ronnie Burrell or Jimmy LeBrant or Danny Garrett. It doesn't sound like some southern hick
Well, when you call
town.
I'm sure that wasn't their names, like their full names. I'm sure those were just nicknames.
Daniel Garrett.
See, that's better.
Carrie Tucker.
Okay.
Jimmy LeBrant. Or, yeah. And Ronnie
Jimmy?
Burrell.
I don't know what Jimmy would be short for.
James.
Really?
James LeBrant. That's still pretty.
But is Jimmy really short for
But no matter
Jimmy?
what,
Okay,
Ronnie Burrell or Ronald Burrell. I don't know.
Is it the Burrell?
I'm not just trying. It just sounds southern and it could be very hicky. I don't know. If we have any hick or...
Everyone with the last name Burrell is just screaming at you
No.
now.
Any Burrell, I'm sure I would enjoy your listen. I'm sure I would enjoy, meeting you, and I'm sure you're a great person. It's just that the kind of setting that we're getting here, Houston, Texas, biker type of people. It just, the names kind of fit in with that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I get you.
All right, but yeah, they all moved in together. Apparently, they said the house was basically all about sex, drugs, and being a biker. That was kind of their whole thing, I guess. I don't know. Or the biker life or something. I don't know. Can't say. I don't know. But that was kind of their thing. But Karla Faye Tucker and Jerry Dean, they've had a heated relationship for a long time. A very long time. They didn't really like each other. She thought he was a poser, and his only connection to being a biker was that he had a bike. And also, he was mean to Sean, or Shauna, whatever, which was also Karla's best friend. So, I mean, it got so heated so once that she once punched him so hard, his glasses shattered, and he had to be sent to the hospital because some of the glass got in, like, his eye or something like that.
Dang.
She was kind of a mean person, though. I guess I didn't give the greatest setting, telling you like what this is. But anyone from Houston, Texas, or have been there or heard the story, they understand everything that's happening.
Okay, well, I don't, so continue.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, so I guess just to give you background on our victims and everything like that. We have Jerry Lee Dean, like we've already kind of said. He was a wannabe biker. He was married to Shauna Dean, who also was a roadie for a local band and had experience as a prostitute. It's probably how she met Karla Faye Tucker. And then our other victim, Debbie Thorne, was a bookkeeper. Interesting thing about her is she's not the only member of her family who has been murdered. Apparently, her father was a homosexual with a preoccupation with little boys, and I guess he was killed by some boys that he seduced at one point. Yeah.
Damn. Okay, did not expect that.
As you can see, I'm giving you great people here. I'm not trying to belittle the victims at all. I'm sorry. I will not belittle the victims.
No, you're not belittling the victims. Yeah, no, that's fucked up. I mean...
Yep. And they met at a swimming pool party at an apartment complex.
Ooh.
As you can tell, that just does not sound good to me. All right. All right. So I'm just going to tell you about how the bodies were found and everything like that real quick. It's probably should have how I started. Because just the way I have everything written down and worded, it would make more sense to start there.
Okay, whatever.
But all right, so June 13th, 1983 in Houston, Texas, Gary Travers was waiting for Jerry Dean and his blue El Camino to pick him up to go to work. And he was late. He wasn't showing up. And apparently they lived in the same type of apartment complex. So he walked over and he saw the blue El Camino gone. Figured he overslept. So he walked around and found a door that was open. So he went into the door. And he also noticed that a partially built Harley Davidson motorcycle, which was in the middle of the living room. This is what I'm talking about. Was gone too. So he thought that was pretty weird. And since he knew Dean pretty well, and I guess Jerry Dean, he didn't sleep in his regular bedroom. He only slept in the spare bedroom. He went over to the spare bedroom. And he found him half on the bed, half off the bed, completely naked. His head was bludgeoned to hell, and blood everywhere. And also on the floor laid a girl with a pickaxe in her chest. It was driven so hard that it went straight through her body and into the floor.
Oh my god!
Apparently, that's insane.
That's a lot of anger.
Yeah. Apparently, Jerry Dean, he had 28 different holes in his body, and his neck was hitting so hard he was almost decapitated.
That's sick.
Yes, that is what they found, and I would have hated to be that person to find my friend or just a cop to show up to see that. That must have been fucking horrible.
My God.
But yeah, since there was a missing El Camino and his prized Harley Davidson was missing. They assumed it was robbery, but since the savagery and the violence against the bodies had to be pure hatred, they assumed it was either some person that had a grudge against them, or since we're kind of in these waters of where it's like biker people, they assume that could have been bikers, because if you ever watched a documentary or anything about bikers, they're pretty brutal people.
Some can be.
Yeah.
I've known some nice bikers, though.
I mean, I've known nice bikers too, but like biker gangs or, type of people like that.
Yeah,
which, So, I mean, that's what they assumed. And since Dean had been hit with a hammer first, they figured he was the target. And the axe was Jerry Dean's, so they assumed that was a last minute decision to use. But let's get into how they found out everything about it. The murder went unsolved for a month and 5 days until a detective, JC something, I should have wrote down his name or whatever, but he wasn't even working on the case. But he got a phone call from his ex-husband of one of his high school friends, Douglas Garrett, who is the boyfriend of Carrie, Karla's sister, and also the brother of Karla Faye's boyfriend, Danny. Which, it's kind of weird, but yeah. And he said that his brother Danny and Karla bragged about the murder for about the whole month. And here's some fucking quotes. This was quote that Karla said to Doug. And it goes, "Doug, I came with every stroke. She's here claiming that she got sexual gratification. She told her own sister that she got a nut every time she picked at Jerry."
Oh my God.
Yes. That is kind of disgusting, but apparently this woman has a sexual thing about violence.
Bashing people's heads in?
Yes, and she got a nut every time she hit Jerry. That's fucked up. But yeah. And Doug said that he was fine. At first, he was fine about hearing about the murders, and them talking to him. But once they started talking about killing their roommates because they know about the murders, that's when he was like, fuck, I should call somebody.
Oh, that's when. Not the first time she murders, because that's okay. First one, we can forgive that. But the second one, no, that's too far.
It's probably more preservation because he's sitting here and they're starting to talk about we got to murder these people because they know our story of them murdering. And you're sitting there like, well, fuck, I know the murder, so stop talking to me, So he's probably like, I'm going to call somebody because I don't want to get murdered by these people. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. It's crazy. So he called the cops and he called the detective and they were talking and he found out that since since he like witnessed him talking about these things or whatever, it could be treated as hearsay, essentially. Because it's not a literal confession. Because that's really the only evidence they kind of have that these people were involved.
Okay.
So, I mean, other than the cops did find out, they kind of did suspect, or at least I think that's kind of something they looked at before, because they know that Jerry and Karla had like a heated relationship, but still, I guess there just wasn't enough. There's circumstantial. There you go. Circumstantial evidence.
They literally had people telling them that she was bragging about this.
All right, no matter what. Here.
Okay, whatever.
So they told him that he needed to wear a wire, and he needed to get Karla and Jerry and Jimmy. No, Danny. Sorry. Fuck. All these people. All right, so Karla and Danny to confess, and they specifically wanted him to get her to talk about how she came every time she hit. That I think they just wanted to really drive in the stake, when at the trial. Yeah. So, but yeah, and basically just wanted him to get all that on tape. They gave him a safe word, which was Jesus Christ, if they found out he was doing anything or anything like that.
That's the safe word?
Yeah,
Jesus
I guess
Christ.
Over the wire, Jesus Christ, and they would have came in, busted it up, and helped him out, but whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
So just before 5 a.m, Doug walks into the house where they live, and these are heroin addicts and everything like that. So of course they are up, and everybody's up and drinking.
Oh.
Inside the house is Marla LeBrant, which is Jimmy LeBrant's sister, Ronnie Burrell, and a girl named Cookie. Don't ask me. I don't know. There's not much information. All right. Then he asked where Danny and Karla were, and they said he was in the bedroom. So after a few minutes, he went in there and got them talking, and he was just like, so why? Did you go over there planning to murder these people? He just straight up asked him, because he's just curious. And they didn't think nothing of it, so they were talking over there, and they're like, and Danny was like, well, it was a freak thing, It happened, and we freaked out. So, I mean, obviously it was more like a robbery kind of gone wrong, but it's kind of crazy, though, what happened. And Karla said, well, we were very wired. We were looking for something to do, and we went to case the place, and something said go.
Oh, something. Something said
These
go.
girls, I think these girls,
she's fucking nuts.
Yes. Yep. And Karla, he also asked about the pickaxe, and Karla just said it was there.
It was there?
Yeah.
It was there, so she used it, like, in the moment, thinking.
Yeah. So, basically, he got his confession, essentially, like there. I mean, fuck. Yeah, these people. So Doug left, and then a few minutes later, Ronnie Burrell looked out the window, and he yelled, "It's the fucking law!"
Oops.
Because there was a bunch of cops heading to arrest. And they were all still like shaky about the confession they got on there, because they'd rather have someone like confess and sign it, to give like definite proof. Which eventually,
that was a pretty good convention to me.
And eventually, Karla ended up doing that herself.
Oh, okay.
Because guilt or some bullshit or something like that, whatever. All right, but so this is where we get into the story.
Oh, we haven't even started the story yet?
Well, this is where we get to the part of where they start talking about what happened when they were going there and everything from the words of the killers.
Oh, okay.
All right, so part of the motivation for the murder, they found out, is that apparently Jerry put out a $300 contract for someone to burn Karla's face off. So
Oh my god!
I mean, to be honest, I'm not trying to, belittle or thing for this person's family, Jerry Lynn Dean's or Debbie Thornton's. But to me, Jerry doesn't sound like the greatest person in the world, so I don't really feel very bad for this person who's got murdered.
Well, life is still a life, but Jesus Christ, why would you
Exactly.
just go burn her face?
Still.
Not kill her, not threaten her, beat her up, but burn her fucking face off.
Yeah, so that and all the shit that's gone through there. So, as revenge, Karla gets this idea it'd be cool to go steal his Harley parts and sell them. So essentially, Karla Faye Tucker, Jamie Lee Brandt, and Danny Garrett decided to go over to his house. Apparently, he's been over at Karla's house before, and he's kind of left a set of keys to his apartment and his El Camino there. So she takes them because it'd just be easy to get into these places. Danny actually brought a shotgun with him, but he left it in the truck and decided to grab a hammer instead. I don't know why.
Quieter, maybe? You said it's an apartment complex, yeah?
Yeah, but still, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. But so they walked inside, and Jerry shouted, "What's going on?"
Is that his voice?
That's just how I assume someone like that would talk. I don't know. So, they weren't in the living room, so Danny and Karla moved to the spare bedroom. And this is what Karla said what happened from there on. Karla says she was right behind him. The light was out and the windows were on the far wall. And then there was a little crack in the curtains and a little bit of light coming in. I could see a silhouette of a body sitting up. Couldn't see detail or faces or Jerry's clothes. But I could see the outline of everything I walked past. I walked past Danny and I sat on Jerry. And he was like, "We can work something out," or something, you know. Sorry, I'm doing horrible voices here. But he's like, "We can work something out, Karla." And then she went, "Move and you're dead, motherfucker." And then Jerry threw her off. And then when Karla was looking back up at him as Jerry was standing up, he saw Danny with a hammer, and the hammer hitting Jerry Dean, on the fucking head. And he fell to the floor and started gurgling. Danny said he wanted to make it stop, so he saw a pickaxe leaned up against the wall and grabbed it and hit him 4 to 5 times.
Did he stop gurgling?
I don't know. I'm assuming he did, or whatever.
God damn.
And then Jimmy LeBrant, who was in the next room, who came along with him, he walked into the room and found Karla with 1 foot on Dean, trying to get the pickaxe out of his back.
Oh.
So that's how hard that he hit this person with the axe. Like, she had to use her foot to pry it out of his body. And when she got it free, she lifted her butt her head and she looked at Jimmy and she hit the fucker again. So Jimmy left the room and called Ronnie Barbell to pick him up because he's like, "I'm not in for this. It's not what I was down for. What I came over here for."
Smart man.
So he leaves. So when that starts happening, Danny starts loading all the motorcycle parts into his Ford Ranchero. Ford Ranchero, yeah. All right, so and then for no reason, no apparent motive or anything, no one knows why, but he went back into the room. He took the axe from Karla and drove it into his head again, and then left.
Jeez.
And at that point, Karla realized there was another person in the room with her. Debbie Thornton. Apparently, she had her head under the pillow, and she was under the covers, and they just realized she was there. And they said they saw the comforter shaking, because it was her body.
She's fucking scared.
So Karla, out of apparently pure evil instinct, just took the axe and drove it down into her, and it went into her shoulder. And apparently at this time, Debbie freaked out and started attacking Karla for some reason. I guess she had like a burst of energy.
Fight or flight instincts.
Yeah, exactly. So Danny came back in, broke them apart, and then he left again to keep on loading up the things for some reason. And during this time...
Did he think they would just sit there quietly?
I don't know why. Some of the stories, like, what? Really? I mean, but these are heroin addicts, so who knows? Oh. But they're saying that while that was happening, she was laying in the corner, and she kept on saying, "If you're going to kill me, just kill me." So apparently, Danny came back in. He kicked the woman as he was trying to remove the axe from her shoulder.
My God.
And then as she was lying on her back, he drove that axe with so much force that it went clean through her body and into the floor.
So oh my God. So it to him is a stranger, correct? Like he didn't know this person.
No, well, he knew. Well, he didn't know Debbie. They didn't know Debbie.
He didn't know Debbie, and yet he somehow still found enough force to drive a fucking pickaxe through her. What kind of drugs were they on? Can heroin make you do that?
I don't know. I've never been on heroin.
Don't do drugs, kids.
I mean, from what I've always saw, heroin seems to it doesn't give you energy. From what I've always seen, you know, you kind of get all loopy and everything. I don't know.
That's just fucking insane to me. Wow.
And after that, the two grabbed the motorcycle frame and left. And that was the end of that crime and the end of those two lives, which is really horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, no one deserves to die that way. And I know earlier I was saying I didn't feel bad. But at the same time, someone getting murdered in that horrific way, that's horrible.
That is horrible.
You know?
Plus, it's not like he actually went and burnt her face off. He just said.
But he definitely wasn't a saint. You know, he would.
Oh, no, definitely not.
I mean, he was someone who would end up in prison for killing somebody, too. At least that's that's the vibe I get off from what everybody told me about, what I read about him and everything. So, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so a month goes by and they get arrested, and it's Texas, so of course the death penalty is right there, and they get convicted of murder and sentenced to death by lethal injection. Danny Garrett, he died of liver disease before his execution date. So if you believe in the death penalty that way, I guess the families didn't get justice.
I mean, he still died in prison. He was not a free man when he died.
Yeah. So, interesting facts about Karla is she was the first woman to be executed in 135 years in Texas.
Wow.
No woman has been executed since Chapito Rodriguez in 1864 for murdering a horse thief or something like that. It's Texas. Interesting things about her is while she was in prison, she became a born-again Christian, an evangelical Christian type of person. She took up aerobics and crocheting. She really turned around her life.
She just needed order. Sorry, I'm about to go on something a little serious, but I mean, when somebody has a life with no order, like I'm assuming she did, probably just doing whatever could do. I mean, she was doing, you said heroin at the age of what, 13, 12, something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, prison has nothing but order. You have to do this at this time. It can really change a person around. I mean, that's what it's supposed to do anyways. But... okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, she basically just became the face of anti-death penalty movement because everybody was like, "Oh, she's good now," you know.
Well, she still deserves life in prison.
So yeah,
you can't let that back out on the streets.
She had supporters like Bianca Jagger, who's the ex-wife of Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones, Reverend Pat Robertson. He was a pretty famous preacher during that time, and Pope John Paul II. She had supporters of trying to get her off of death row.
Interesting.
I mean, she was basically, you know, in the 90s, that's what happened. You know, the evangelical Christian movement happened, you know, and they invaded everywhere and they took advantage of shit. Sorry, not all of them did, but in some things we'll probably end up talking about Columbine later, how they took over that, and that was horrible.
Haven't heard of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So, but in 1997, her last appeal was rejected, which left her fate with Governor George W. Bush, At this time, he was governor of Texas in 1998. Which was kind of crazy for him because he was an evangelical Christian himself.
He was.
So he kind of believed in a born again Christian and like kind of the people that were trying to get her off of death row. But at the same time, it's Texas and he's Republican. So he's hard on crime anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, it's
kind of stuck.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck in this swing, and I mean, and then he ends up running for president of the United States. So, I mean, I don't know if it would look good or whatever, that he did that, would give her a stay or
let him murder her
or clemency, for her. So, he ended up just, not granting her clemency. We have a statement here that he released or whatever. He says, the role of the state is to enforce our laws and make sure all individuals are treated fairly under those laws. The courts, including the United Supreme Court, have reviewed the legal issues in this case, and therefore I will not grant the 30-day delay. And like many touched by this case, I have sought guidance through prayer, and I have concluded my judgment about the heart and soul of an individual on death row are best left to a higher authority. May God bless Karla Faye Tucker, and may God bless her victims and their families. So shortly after that, she was going to be executed. She was waiting on a hospital gurney, waiting for a lethal injection. She closed her eyes, she licked her lips, and she groaned a little bit as the drugs were entering her veins. And her last words were, "Yes, sir, I would like to say to all of you, the Thornton family and Jerry Dean's family, that I am so sorry. I hope God will give you peace with this. Baby, I love you, Ron. Give Peggy a hug for me. Everybody has been so good to me, and I love you all so very much. I'm going to be face to face with Jesus now. Warden Baggett, thank you all so much. You've been so good to me. I love you all very much, and I'll see you when you get there. I'll wait for you." Those were the last words of Karla Faye Tucker.
Wow.
Yep. I mean, she sounds like a different person, but at the same time, she's someone who's about to get killed. So, I'd be saying shit like that too.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to doubt where her faith was, because I do believe, people can change their lives for the better, and they can start believing, making completely different things. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of cases of like Stanley Tookie Williams. He was one of the co-founders of the gang Crips, and he kind of basically started gang culture at all. And he was in death row for years for a quadruple murder, if I remember correctly, it was.
Good Lord.
He was almost granted clemency, but apparently, since he never admitted, he always claimed he was innocent of the crimes that he was saying or whatever, that they didn't grant clemency. But he was also a person who turned away from gangs. He actually made public things of don't join gangs. He made anti-gang books. He was nominated for 4 Nobel Peace Prizes. He's actually kind of an interesting person. I actually read his biography once, Blue Rage, Black Redemption. It's actually pretty good. But the governor of California wouldn't grant him clemency for his execution, just because since he never admitted to the crimes he was committed of.
Oh, he never actually admitted.
No, he never admitted. He always said he was innocent of these quadruple murders, even though they had a lot of evidence against him.
But still, the fact that he basically created, such a negative thing, and he showed and he worked to make a difference to try and reverse his mistake. I mean, it really does seem like he turned around.
Yeah, it does. And
maybe she did.
And also that, yeah, I mean, we can have an episode about him, actually, because it's kind of interesting to do with everything, because he also was one of the cases in 1976 or 77, I forget what it was, but around there in 1975, the death penalty in the U.S. was allowed again, because it was taken away and made unconstitutional for a while. Okay. So he's kind of one of the first cases in the first couple years of when it was legal. And So during that, every state was still figuring out, the things that allow a person to be on death row and get the death penalty and everything like that. So it's just kind of an interesting thing about everything that belongs with his. But yeah. People change their lives on death row, and hopefully Karla did. Or maybe she's with Jesus. I don't know. You can kill a couple people and go to Jesus. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, yeah. So, but yeah.
But, okay, wait,
Wait, what?
Well, I know she was there and was a part of the killings, but it really sounds like that other guy did the majority of the damage on the victims.
She still... It was her idea, and she still went there, and even after Danny... Or he killed Jerry, basically, she still drove an axe into him. True. Several times.
True.
And then she drove an axe into the other girl. So, I mean, it's attempted murder at least.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. To me, she's definitely part of the murder.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't saying that she wasn't.
So, yeah. I don't know. But,
damn.
Yeah, that's Karla Faye Tucker, one of the axe murders, and she was a pretty big thing for our time in history, actually. Apparently she was on the news, and all these evangelical Christians would talk about her because she was born again and everything like that.
Right.
But, she committed a horrible crime, her and Danny Garrett. She took the lives of two not-so-innocent people at times. But murder is never right, so I'm never condoning that. But yeah, so that's Karla Faye Tucker.
Awesome.
Yep. You got anything you want to talk about?
Sorry, I'm sick.
We've both kind of been sick.
Yeah, my head's a little foggy, but that was Karla Faye Tucker. Next week we will definitely have another episode. We promise.
Yes, we
there
promise.
There will be another episode.
We're going to be doing about witchcraft.
And it should come out on Monday. There's not really a reason it shouldn't. We will be traveling for Thanksgiving, but
so that will kind of interfere, but we'll definitely get it recorded before we go or the first night we are there.
We'll figure it out. We got it.
Yeah, and we'll do our best to make sure it's uploaded by Monday or Tuesday, one or the other. But we'll shoot for Monday because that's kind of what we're wanting to do with our podcast every Monday.
Well, I hope you guys found the story of Karla Faye Tucker. Is that her name?
Yeah, Karla Faye Tucker.
I hope you guys found it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she was an axe murderer, which is pretty fucking crazy. Those crimes are pretty insane.
I wonder if this would have happened in a different, point in time. Because when it happened, you had...
In the 80s, yeah.
In the 80s with the whole evangelists and...
that was in the 90s, but yeah. She was executed in the 90s, but the crime happened in the 80s.
Well, I mean, that's... If all of this happened at a different point in time, I wonder if her sentence would have been more severe, less severe,
I feel like the further you go back, the more Christian-y and God's judgment people get, Yeah. Especially if it was in Texas. So, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Texas, because I've been there before, and I kind of like Texas.
But I mean, the further back you go, definitely it's part of the Bible Belt. I mean.
It's definitely a big strunger of the Bible Belt and everything. So, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it would have been different. Maybe probably not.
Probably not. She probably still would have gotten executed, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean.
Him as well.
I don't know. Still, the whole gender thing is probably what really throws everything off, because they didn't really execute women that much.
Well, no, obviously. You said it was over 100 years.
135 years.
And I'm guessing a lot of men were executed in that time.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's obviously people were upset.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
But yeah, so that was Karla Faye Tucker. Like she said, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I actually kind of just put this together last minute here. Sorry about that. I hope I gave you guys a lot of information and provided great content. I've never really been to Houston, or I think I've actually been to Houston, but I was pretty little, and I wasn't around this type of area in Houston, so I wasn't able to give you guys like a very great like thing about it. You know what I mean? The only thing I really know about Houston is it's hot. In the summer, it gets fucking hot. So, but yeah. So, I hope you guys enjoyed our podcast, and we want to thank you for listening. Listeners, please tell other people so they can either like us on SoundCloud or on YouTube, or just listen to our podcast and maybe hopefully enjoy what we bring out. So, so I guess this is where we part ways. I can't wait to talk to you guys about witchcraft next week. And
Bye.
bye.